All right, so I went ahead and opened my terminal here. I'm on a Mac. If you're on Windows, you would open your command line. And on Windows, make sure that you go to the actual JDK bin. Okay, so it would be something you would go ahead and CD, so change directory. So you go to program files where you've installed the new Java. Make sure that, of course, you've changed the path to where this new Java is installed, new Java SDK. Java 9 SDK, I mean. Okay, so make sure you cd in into the bin for this to work. So in order for us to use our J shell, it's very simple. Once everything is installed on our device, we can just go ahead and say J shell as such. Now I'm going to change a few things here. The first thing I'm going to change is I want to make sure that all of the output as I use my J shell here is verbose, which means it will give me more information as I need. So before you run your J shell, what are you going to do? You're going to say J shell space, say V, and enter. So what this is going to do now is going to go ahead and say welcome. Right? Welcome to J shell. Okay. But let's go ahead and play around a little bit here. Let's go ahead and type this help, just to see what's gonna give us. So say help intro, enter, and voila. Now we have a lot of information. It gives us an intro, tells us about how the tool works to execute Java code, and even gives us an example. So we can say int x is 8. Okay, we can say even expression here, x plus x, or Java statement and so forth. Okay, and if it tells us that these little chunks of code that we write, we call them snippets. Okay. Most importantly, we also have this slash list, which will give us the list of all the things that we have typed into our J shell. Okay. That's very handy. I'm going to go ahead and say clear here, say enter. That's not a problem. Once we are inside of our J shell, certain commands don't really work. Now, how do we exit out of J shell? That's one thing I think is important to know right away, because we want to be able to exit out. Well, it turns out to exit out, we just go / and say exit. And then it says goodbye. And then I can just say clear and I go back there. Okay. All right, let's go back now. I'm going to say J shell. I want verbose again. It's going to go ahead and say welcome and so forth. How do I create a variable? Right? I can go ahead and say int. That's a type. I can say int I is 0 and say enter. The moment you do that, you notice it says here I is 0. This is what's going on, right? Saying that I now has value of 0, and we know it's an integer. And even tells us created variable I of type int. Now, if we go and say / say list, it should give us what we have entered, telling us what we have written in our code editor per se, right? Which is indeed our J shell here. So very neat. But also you notice that when we write our code, when we write in our J shell here, we don't have to put semicolon. But when you say list, you notice that it shows exactly how things are laid out inside of an editor, which is our J shell, okay, in the background. Okay. And if I say again, for instance, int b is 10, say enter, it tells int b is 10, and I want to see the list again. Is going to say C. Now we see here we have int I is 0, int b is 10. Now we can say system.out.println. For now, I'm going to go ahead and print hello world and say enter, and you see there is hello world now. And check this out. I can also say system.out.println, and I can say, for instance, result is, I'm going to concatenate, so glue things together here. I'm going to say is equal to I plus b, like this. So what is this I? Well, the I is the integer we created, which is 0. And b is the variable that holds 10. So now if I go say enter, I should have result is 0, 10. What's going on? Well, it seems like something is happening here. Because I'm talking about a plus, and I know that this I is indeed an integer, and this plus here, it's not going to be concatenation. So this is not the result I wanted, because now it says it's 0, 1, 0, which is treating these as, of course, strings, right? But that's not what we really want. We want to add those two numbers. The easiest way to do, by the way, to go back to the previous statement, we can just go is hit the up arrow and goes back to what we've previously written. So for now, to make it better, I'm going to put inside of parentheses our expression. That way the system knows exactly that this is indeed expression. So we are adding I and B, and then the result we're concatenating to this string here. So we say enter, and you can see result is indeed 10. Okay, just a little thing there. Very nice. So all of this is happening inside of our shell. It's very cool. We could have also said int result and say here an expression. We're going to say I plus B. And now we says here we created the int result variable. And I can go ahead and say, in fact, I can go back, say list again, and it's going to list everything that I've added into my program. So this is indeed equivalent to an edit text, right? Because we have line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it has all of the code that we have written, all laid out properly. Now that we know we have the result, which is holding our result, addition for 1 and B, the addition between 1 and B, what I can do, I can still go say system.out.println. I'm going to say result. Okay, go ahead, plus. Oops, get rid of that plus there, and just pass in our result variable. It's going to have the same, says result is 10. Now suppose I want to create a method. I could also create a method here. Okay, so what I can do to create a method, I'm going to say void, let's say hello JShell, why not? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass an int here, type I. Okay, and of course, right away I can put a braces, curly braces there to signify that I am starting a block of code. And if I hit enter, you will know that JShell is smart enough to know that because I open up my curly braces here, that means I need to have a body here. So that's why he's telling me, well, you can go ahead and put code, logic code here inside. So I'm going to create a for loop here. So I'm going to say for. Again, if you don't know how to do a for loop, it's okay, right? Just follow along here. So I'm going to say for, say int x is equal to 0, colon, okay, x is less than I. I'm going to say x plus plus. So I have my loop there, and I'm going to go ahead and say system.out.println, and I wanted to print something. I wanted to print hello, and you know what? Because I'm happy, I'm going to go ahead and append the x value, okay, as it goes through our iterator, like that. I'm going to put a semicolon there, and then I'm going to say enter, and to finalize my method, I'm going to just put my curly braces there. Say enter, and it says created method hello shell. That means now I can actually call hello method hello JShell by saying hello JShell, and I'm going to pass, for instance, 10. I hit enter, and look at that, hello 0, hello 1 through 9. Okay, if I go list again, it's going to give me a list of everything that I created so far. So we have int 0, b, int b is 10, and of course we have the result and so forth. Okay, we could have also done this, say hello JShell, and pass our result variable, because we know our result variable is holding the addition between 10 and 0. It's going to be the same because the result is 10. Okay, if I go back and say here I want to pass 43, look at that. Very nice. Okay, so there's so many things you can do with JShell. You notice now you can even evaluate things. I can say if result is greater than, is less than 10, I want to say system.out.println result is less than 10, right? Because we know result is holding 10, so this should be false, which means it shouldn't run. Say enter. Right. The problem here is, let's go back here. I have to say finalize our string. That was the problem. I'm going to say enter, and you notice nothing is indeed showing because result indeed, if you go back to say list, you notice the result is 10, so this is indeed false. That's why it didn't show anything here. Okay, if we change this and say is equal, double equal as such, okay, if result is equal to 10, I'm going to say yes. You can see yes. And I go back to say list. You notice it's going to show us everything that we've done so far. Very nice. The other great feature here of JShell is that, for instance, if we already know that we've created this hello JShell method or function, we can actually just start typing hello and hit tab. And it says here, you mean hello JShell. It completes for us, and it knows exactly that you need to pass something. Pass 5 and say enter, and there's a hello 5 times. And the other thing we can do, there's so many things we can do, this gets so exciting, is let's say we want to see all the imports in our Java program here in JShell. We can just go ahead and slash, say import, and there we go. It tells us exactly all the imports that are added into our code here. So I would like you to go ahead and play around with this JShell here. One thing, the things that we need to remember here is that if you want to exit, make sure you say slash and say exit as such. And then we'll say goodbye and you will exit out of the shell. That's one thing that I think is important to know, because sometimes we want to exit and we don't know how to, and it's a little bit, can be quite frustrating. So just do that, slash exit, and you will see goodbye as you see here. Okay, perfect. I'll see you in the next video.